All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts. Analysis and live day trading. Again, don't forget to take advantage of that flash sale for the next month. Here it is on carnivoretrades.com. It's on my Twitter, pinned if you're interested. Also, send me a message at aaron@carnivoretrades.com. Anyways, let's get into it today. So doing the video a little early. I'm going to be doing the live stream with members, usual live stream at 4 o'clock, where we'll cover everything. And the markets right now are just kind of in float mode, where we are finally getting a little bit of a dip here. But you're going to see right now, I don't expect any sort of power hour stuff to be of much consequence. You can see here, a lot of GEX at 5,300 there. So it wouldn't shock me if we dip down a little bit lower into that range and kind of closed right here. You know, we could also float back up and close around 5310, which is essentially where we opened. And the markets are, again, really liquid right now, just very highly liquid. Each time we get, you know, I mean, I talked about this earlier today. Just looking at like a 1 minute chart, like look at how quickly they snatch this thing back up, you know, all these times. And we're actually starting to float back up now. So we may not even get to 5,300. But either way, markets are just highly liquid. This should, this should continue to be the case until tomorrow. Doesn't mean we can't, you know, again, we could back off into power hour. We could close a little bit below 53. That's certainly possible. There is some put and call GEX there. Now it's starting to see a little bit. You can see this, I like how watching this change. Again, everybody in the trading room gets this, but I love watching this change here. As you can actually see 53.15 start to perk up. So who knows, maybe we go towards that. But again, it's not of much consequence in the grand scheme of things here. That said, I tweeted this earlier too. We are, you know, essentially 200 points extended. We were at one point today anyway, about 200 points extended from the 20 DMA. And the last time we had that was the 19th of April, which that was max extension essentially. So it's likely we're going to see mean reversion sometime soon. I've been telling you guys Friday. That's where we may start to see more of a pullback, where it's not like 5 points and then immediately like algos just come in and just desperately buy the dip, like we're never going to go lower again. So tomorrow, that would be kind of it. It is OPEX. You know, maybe if we gap higher too. I mean, I'm not saying that has to happen, but we've seen a few times previously where we gap outside of that Bollinger Band. I don't know if we're going to go that high, but if we do, you know, that could be some, you know, a signal here that, you know, we're just getting a little overdone. You saw it there on the 16th. That was an OPEX, June 16th last year. I mean, in general, that being outside of your daily Bollinger Bands a good signal of a reversal anyway, but again, just some hypotheticals there. We did hit Dow 40K, so they may want to pin that there for tomorrow. So my guess is we'll close right within, you know, a few points of that on the Dow tomorrow. For SPX, it looks like 5,300 is going to be the big, you know, open interest level. Yeah, maybe we could push up to 25. You know, it's possible. But right now, again, it's not of much consequence here. I do have a cycle date also for tomorrow, so we'll see if that comes into play. We have traded up into it, so again, that does tell us that we likely would pull back into next week, since we've basically had an uncontested rally. And if we were to close green, which we're up 17 cents now in the spiders, that's 11 in a row, and I think the record is like 13. I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're getting up there, right? And each day that we close higher, the percentages of a red day go higher, right? So at some point we'll get a pullback. My guess is it probably starts tomorrow, and then maybe even into next week. Then we have NVIDIA earnings, and I don't know, did they juice this? Did they juice expectations too much? You know, that's always a question there too, because now the market has rallied. So this doesn't look like it. It's a 25% move in NVIDIA since the 19th. And this is a $2.3 trillion company. I talked about this the last couple of days. You know, does it go to 1,000? Yeah, possibly. But, you know, looking at the monthly, it's still really stretched. I know that this looks like a good consolidation pattern on the daily. And to be fair, it is. But that monthly is still really stretched there. So, and it's a $2.3 trillion company, too. So can it have those big moves that it used to? I think I talked about this before. The market makers had it when this happened. And we haven't seen those big outsized blowout moves on earnings for NVIDIA since then. I think they have a much better handle on the options market there. So either way, though, that'll be the focal point. I believe that's Wednesday afternoon. But right now, again, markets just inching up a little bit here as we get into the afternoon, and we'll see where we close here again. 53.15 is still possibly a point of interest at this point, but again, it's not of much consequence here. But we are looking for some type of backing and filling to take place, if not tomorrow after AM OPEX, then early next week, and we'll see. Maybe Nvidia earnings pops us and then we drop on that. I don't know, but we're on 11 days now with the SPY here, so pretty ridiculous stuff. Triple Qs here, also up 21 cents. Again, nothing's really changed there overall. Same analysis applies, and markets are acting well. And interesting enough, Google was very strong today. I didn't notice, like Meta, Amazon, and a few others were down. I think Broadcom was down, and Apple was even kind of on the, it's only flat to positive right now. Nvidia's fractionally higher, but it was red a little while ago. So really Google doing a lot of the lifting there. And even like the SMH only is actually down 56 cents. IGV only up 5 cents. So it is pulling back off of that trend line like we talked about. We'll see what it does tomorrow for the weekly close, which is, right, we're going to be right in that area. Do they push it back below the 20-week moving average? Do they push it? I mean, it'd be a big move. They have to push it down $1 to get it below that red bar high. But outside of that, outside of that, that would be a negation of that red bar on the weekly. So something we'll definitely be watching very closely tomorrow. But overall, yeah, Google helping out technology a lot. Russell 2000 down. Rates did get a bid today. So we talked about, I told you guys yesterday, I didn't think the 2-year was ready to break out on the bond, on the yields. I thought we would get a bounce, and that's what happened. IWM is much more rate sensitive than the other indexes, and obviously you're seeing that down 0.5% today. Still got a 210 and then 212 resistance on that. The diamond, look at that, 400. You can't get much more pinned than that. So again, we expect that to happen tomorrow. Will they pin the DIA? Will they pin the DJI? I don't know, but it's not a big difference, right? I mean, what's 50 points on the Dow, right? So not a big deal. And it looks like that's where we're going to be stuck at. We talked about the semis here. Slight red day here. We did close above this pivot. And now just a small red candle here. Obviously, this will get moved. By the way, I think AMAT reports after... I tried to say Applied Materials reports after the bell today. So that can move the SMH in the after hours. I think it's a $180 billion company, so relatively big too. But again, still below this pivot high. And that's still resistance until proven otherwise. We mentioned IGV, again, right into that trend line there. Dow Transport's still on the weaker side. Again, if this consolidates here, it could build a base to go higher. But again, it's still a laggard, and I'm not in love with the sector. All right, so interest rates here. And let me just change over my chart right now. I don't have it set up. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so you can see the 2-year here, obviously getting a bid. I mentioned that a minute ago on the note. Wasn't ready to break down. I said that yesterday, and we got a pop. So as long as that's holding on a weekly, really a weekly close, I would say 472, the 2-year can still go higher, and it can still be a base here. But obviously a little bit of damage done, definitely a little bit weaker. The 5-year holding onto that green bar low. Same thing with the 10s. These are weekly levels too. Look at where we bounced. So I said a bounce is likely for yields. Let's just, there we go, touch that up. A bounce is likely for yields at this point. And that could be what gets us to pull back, right? If that follows through, even if it just goes to, like, let's just say 30-year to 470, that could cause the markets to be under a little bit of pressure. Market's really liquid right now because of OPEX, though. So it's going to be kind of after that happens. So XHB down, good outside move on XHB, down 2% right back in that channel. So 110, wow, go figure. It ended up being resistance after all. So we could, theoretically put in a lower high on the XHB. It's got a lot of following through to do. We'll see what tomorrow's close looks like, but it did back off a little bit today, and home builders on the weaker side. VNQ held up 20 cents. I think it's still a little stretched here in the short term. I don't love that gap up, especially that you're still below this gap fill and below that trend line. So right now we'll say 83.24. That's going to be your big level to hold. on a pullback there. And then obviously your big resistance is right here. XLF green up 11 cents, new all-time high, new all-time closing high, unless we have a major reversal here in the next hour. And possibly a new weekly closing high too, depending on what tomorrow looks like. So XLF still holding up, KBE fractionally lower. Still looks very good on the weekly. KRE fractionally lower as well. Less so on the weekly, but it's still okay. And the broker-dealer is fractionally lower here. Let's not make too much out of that. Oil with an impressive rally, up 65 cents here. And good follow-through. So, you know, it had a bear flag. It was starting to break down. I talked about that yesterday, the failed breakdown. I like how you back-tested this trend line here intraday, and then you popped off of it. Now, it's still got a lot of work to do. Again, flipping back to the, we'll just use a 4-hour. You got to get above this 80 handle, right? That was resistance before. I did buy oil a week or two ago. We still got money out of it, but it was that 80 handle. We just couldn't get through that, so never really got to that second target. But you know, if you can get through 80, then 81 is certainly on the table. The longer this base is here sideways, the worse it gets, though. You still have a good amount of supply, or I'd say demand here to work through. So look at this, right? It's a lot of demand here. It took like a month and a half to get through that. So it may take a little more time if it wants to break lower, but right now the head and shoulder is still intact, and that target measured move is in the low 70s. So again, I'm just going to be neutral on it. Doesn't mean it, you know, it's good for trading right now, but that's it. So, but if it inches up 81, it's got to get through that 80 handle. XLE fractionally lower here today. That was up a lot earlier and then came back in pretty sharply. Now getting a little bit of a bounce here. Again, I'm not going to make a ton out of that right now. You do have a micro, like if I get rid of all these lines, you do have a micro kind of bull inside bar here on the daily. So not, you know, it's not terrible, but you are inside of the bigger down move, which is red. That said, on the weekly, you can make a case this is just kind of a bull flag here. I don't love how we closed below the green, but it's not the end of the world. They're still above all the moving averages, and there's, you know, trend is nicely up. So XLE holding up. Again, I'm kind of just neutral on the energy names right now until I'd like to see more of a correction. I don't know if we'll get it, but or if I just see them start to firm up, then that could change. But again, XOP down 71 cents. Nothing really too much to talk about there. OIH down 10 basis points. This is starting to firm up though. So we have the green, and then we're just kind of consolidating here. Right beneath that, let me get rid of that. We don't need that bear flag anymore. Yeah, I mean, like we got 3, 6, 9, 10 days. And so we've been in that range for now, like, you know, 5 or 6. Though maybe a little bit more, this could go higher. So again, I still think the OIH is in decent enough shape, but need to see a little bit more. Uranium holding up. Again, CCJ's fine. That's getting ready. Same thing with URNM. I think these are getting ready on the weekly. Maybe one more week, but they're setting up. Nice pattern. Nat gas with another rally here. This is getting into some resistance though. I'm going to use the M. You can see we went right into the 618. We shot right through it. Went up to this pivot right here around 256. Just kissed it. High of the day, 257.5. This high was 256.8. So we just kissed it and pierced it. You know, it's holding up. I think there's another week or so on this contract, maybe 2. And then it goes to N. And the N has been pretty firm too. The N's actually through the 618 a little bit farther. The N never dipped down to double bottom either. So there was a little contango there as we got into the summer months. And you're seeing that kind of play out now. But you know, it's holding up. Might need to do some backing and filling here. It is a little resistance. But again, I'm kind of looking for it to keep up into June. So net gas holding up. Dollar up 13 cents. Again, tomorrow's close will be very important on this. That's all I care about. 103.88. If we're above 103.88 tomorrow, then you'd have a bullish inside bar intact. That's all that matters really on this. And it's holding now. And if that, I would say there's a good likelihood of that based on what we saw with the 30-year yield getting a bounce. We can also talk about the yen if you like. You know, it's working on a higher low there. That's not what I wanted to do. Working on a higher low there for dollar yen. So that's short-term bullish dollar. So decent action there. Gold here pulling back. I think I talked about this yesterday. I think it's going to have to consolidate for at least a day or two. So far, that's been the case. It's not like a sell signal or anything, but it definitely had a, we'll just call it a pause signal on that yesterday, and it played out today. I didn't get a chance to short it. I was hoping we would be up this morning when we woke up, but it rallied last night. And this just would have been a scalp short anyway, just for like the day trade. But it just never really got up there last night. And I'm not going to wake everybody up at midnight to take a trade on gold futures. But it did pull back here, and silver too. Again, it tagged 30, right? You know, that maybe it's getting a little crowded here in the short term. It might need to pull back more, but I mean the big picture macro pattern, this is going to 35. So that's where it wants to go. So silver's still acting well, and the miners are still acting well. GDX down just a little bit, nothing terrible there. SILJ fractionally higher. Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. Platinum just got really overbought here. Little doji there. That may need to do some backing and filling now. Spinning top doji. You know, it's got a lot of resistance up here, but I love the break. I love the breakout. I like the higher highs. And this is, you know, I've been talking about this one for a while, and finally it's making its move. That's just kind of how it goes. It just will do it out of nowhere. These metals are thinner. They're not like gold and silver. They take off when they want to. The palladium here is still struggling with that 1,000 handle, but again, you guys know my thoughts on that. We'll see. Maybe we can close back above tomorrow. Copper, this is another one too. So I told you guys $5 would be good on a back test, and look, it happened at 3. It happened at 11:30 last night, and then at 3 in the morning this morning. You know, I'm not going to take a trade there at that time, but that's where it went, and I was looking to short that if we were up there this morning, and again, just for a day trade, but it just, again, not going to wake up that early or that late just to get a day trade in, but that's where it backed off from. Again, still pretty good, I think, a climax there. So we'll see. At the very least, it likely needs to consolidate. So in any case, Bitcoin here, again, backing off the trend line, we talked about that. We did close above the smaller one here, and we're now just kind of into that level right now. So see if we hold it by the end of the day, that little inverse head and shoulders could remain triggered. A close back below it would kind of negate it to me. It doesn't mean it can't go higher. It just means I wouldn't refer to that pattern. But yeah, it's holding up fine. Again, nothing's changed on this one. Nothing has changed for a while on it. Just doing bigger picture, backing and filling. All right, so again, markets here. Spider's up, yeah, about 23 cents now. So we're just inching up a little bit here. Again, lots of liquidity. Every time they try to take this down, it inches right back up. Again, I'm not saying we can't, you know, inch down later today. You know, they could pull those 53.15s right off the, you know, they could rug pull it. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, they could pull these out, decide they want to pull the bid on them, and then all of a sudden we just drop down to 5,300. It's certainly possible, but again, it's not of much consequence if we do or don't. So again, 200 points extended from the 200 MA. It's going to be consolidation time kind of soon here. We got to digest this move, but again, bulls in control, and that's all we really need to know going into tomorrow. The weekly close will tell us a little bit more, as always. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will see you guys all tomorrow.